Well, welcome to the GAF, Jana Edghill.
Thank you for having me.
So nice to see you again after such a long
Long
time.
time.
We went to school together, so it's nice to have not only Marian alum but like old friends on the GAF to sort of just catch up as we were just talking before we started, the state of Ghana. How have you been?
I can complain, but I'm not going to. I've been good. I've been blessed, actually. I can't. I can't complain. I really can't. I've had a lot of opportunities. A lot of good things has happened to me, and I choose to focus on that, especially career-wise. I can't. I can't thank the universe or the Lord or enough for the opportunities that I've had, especially working in the service that I am in. So really just grateful.
What do you
Man.
do for those
I'm
that
a
don't know?
physiotherapist with a interest in sports and exercise medicine. So currently working at the National Aquatic Center or the National Sports Clinic, where we see all of our athletes, national athletes, recreational, gym buffs, you name it, we see them.
What was the idea behind the aquatic center, that whole institution there? Was it to give athletes that resource that they can sort of just have like as they're pursuing their career, or like what is it mostly for?
So the National Sports Clinic was actually there for a very long time. As long as rehab services was around, we always had like a satellite clinic for our athletes, and it was at Castellani House a very long time ago when Miss Nelson used to run it. But they've now moved it to the Aquatic Center where we have a bigger space. And it was really designed it was there to give a space to our athletes alone, because rehabilitation is for an athlete and for someone who has just had an injury. It's the same but very different at the same time. So we wanted to have a space where we cater to those specific things that an athlete may need in terms of their rehabilitation. So it's still growing, of course, but at least we have that bigger space where we can, start running certain programs just to help their return to play a little better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge step up from, just a few years ago when, I mean, I've been an athlete most of my life with squash, which is a more, I guess, in a way, a more privileged sport in terms of the funding. But we still obviously work with the budget and stuff, but it's always on us to sort of have to get our, like, any care we may need.
Yeah.
And it's also a very grueling sport. So, you really need to invest in that for longevity. So just to have it around now, or the option is amazing. It's real strides.
And I think that maybe even up to 2 years ago, 3 years ago, athletes weren't aware that we existed. So
I could see that.
yeah. So thankfully, in the years that I have worked with rehab services and the years that I've worked at the sports clinic, we've had an increase in the number of athletes that we're seeing, which is great. And we really want to try to keep that momentum going. So the team that works there, we're trying to bring more awareness to what we offer. And, like I said, I'm just really grateful to be here so that I could spread the word about it, all the athletes that are listening, that we're there and we're ready to help. And not just ready to help, but we are specialized in this area. Like, we're existing, we're here, and we're ready to help you to get back to where you need if you've had an injury. Not just that, but to help you in other aspects as well. Like, we may not have the training in it, but like we could guide you in nutrition or recovery or maybe any aspect of like mental health wise. We're going to try to see how best we can help you, maybe point you in the right direction to see if we could refer you to somewhere.
I was just about to say that, just
Yeah.
even having, like, if I went to the, a recovery center, like on a daily as part of my career, and I'm seeing you on a consistent basis, I already feel like you're a part of my support network as an athlete.
Yeah.
And that's a huge thing,
Huge,
like
huge thing.
I when I was playing competitively, I would, the person who was like giving me massages, I guess, every once a month, if so much, felt like, a big part of my support, and like they cared
Your
about me,
team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, that's amazing. But what kind of injuries do you guys deal with the most?
The most, well, we see everything from dislocations to strains, muscle strains, sprains, nerve problems, everything. If you, we really have no limit.
Yeah.
If you're just coming with a niggle that said, I just don't know where this is coming from, we can help you with that as well. And I think it's so important for athletes to listen to their bodies and recognize when there's an issue, and not just, because I tell this to all of my athletes, y'all just feel this thing and just, no, man, I gotta get up and run, or I gotta play this match because
We're tough. We got to push through.
No, because then
Hard.
you know what's gonna happen? You're gonna
Permanent
make
damage.
my work harder. Because then
Yeah.
you go and you push and you make it worse, and then we have to start at the bottom.
Sorry to cut you. This is actually speaks to me a lot, because the other day I had a what I thought was a herniated disc. So I went to the doctor and I did my MRI and whatever, and there was a tiny bulge like in one of my in the C4 or C5 something. I don't know. I don't know the vertebra structure, but whatever. So and then the doctor's like, okay, I think your problem here is that I would assume that you've been lifting heavy weights, because I was doing gym at the time. And it's like, you need to get off that a while and do some more low impact exercises. So, I suggest you find a swimming pool and start swimming. So naturally, me being me, I started running.
Yeah.
So like athletes will always like do stupid things, but it's just because like, and I'm not making an excuse, because that's on me, but it's like, if I have to work out how I know how, I kind of have to do it, And it's like a stupid thing, but like as you get older, it's the worst thing you could do. So I'm probably gonna delete this in case something happens. But yeah,
I think it's important for athletes to not just listen to their bodies, but be aware of things what can make you worse, what can make you better. Educate yourself. I think as an athlete, yes, we're the support system that you talk about. We're there. We're ready to help. But you also have to meet us halfway.
yeah.
You also have to be responsible and accountable to things, and don't rush when we say, okay, maybe this will take 6 weeks or it'll take 12 weeks. Be patient, and don't rush back into things too quickly. And I think that's why I really love working at the sports clinic, because it helps to bring awareness to things that athletes may not have known about before. A couple of years ago, like I said, they didn't know we existed. So
Why is that? Sorry, by the way, you said that. Why wasn't that more of a known thing until a couple of years ago?
I just think it was awareness, and we didn't have the numbers that we have now. So
Numbers of athletes?
numbers of physios.
Oh, physio. Okay.
Yeah. So when I graduated from UG, it was 3 of us. 3 physios in the entire bunch. It was 7 of us. It was 3 physios and 4 occupational therapists. Fast forward to now, we have batches of 10 physios, 9 physios graduating. So the numbers are increasing. So with numbers, we're able to send persons out into the departments. We're able to bring more awareness so that you can come in. So it's just kind of like a domino effect. And of course, with awareness, people will come, and then you have the justification to expand. So it was kind of like a stepping stone, like a building block. And so now we're at squash, and we're with athletics, and we're going to Commonwealth Games, and we're going to Junior Commonwealth and Pan Am. we have the numbers. We're there. And that's an amazing thing. And to be a part of something like that, I'm just really grateful. And I cannot wait to see where we're going to go. Not just physios on a support team, but sports psychologists, nutritionists, strength and conditioning.
So you think there's room to like expand on
Definitely,
that whole like,
definitely. Yeah.
sector?
Excuse me. I think it's something that we have not tapped into its full potential as yet. And there is so much room to grow. So much.
You're attached, so the whole aquatic center. Oh, sorry, what is the official title again?
So the building is the aquatic center.
Right.
So that's where the big swimming pool is that the national athletes, national swimmers, they go to compete and practice. But there is a section that we're borrowing. That's the National Sports Clinic.
National Sports
National
Clinic.
Sports Clinic. So initially, that's where it was designed, like I said, for all our national athletes, all our athletes to go to. But we also see like a couple of ortho cases here and there in the catchment area, just to kind of offset the load on the hospital, because we are like a satellite clinic attached to the Georgetown Hospital rehab department.
So non-athletes can also come.
Non-athletes can also come. Non-athletes can also come.
That's a huge resource then.
Yeah, man. And I'm telling you, I'm so grateful to be a part of it. You don't even know.
Yeah. I was actually going to ask you, obviously it's funded by the government. Which ministry in particular?
Health. Ministry of Health.
Okay, right.
So our unit is under Disability and Rehab Services.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is the market for private practice in physiotherapy, is that like also like a thing now? Or you think it's growing to where that it's going to be more viable?
It is growing. I think as our country develops and more expats and so come in, there's going to be that opportunity for private clinics to go up.
Yeah.
And for persons to, because not everybody wants to go into the public system, and that's okay. But yeah, there's really room to grow. I don't see that anything kind of taking a step back. I just think that it's going to keep growing as much as possible.
Let's talk about you a little bit. Like, why did you, how do you even find yourself in this sort of, on this career path?
It's not a very interesting story, and I'm going to tell it anyway.
And that's what we're here for.
So I was exposed to physiotherapy in my teenage years, playing football, tore out your knee, and you had to go and see a physiotherapist. And I was like, okay, this is not bad. No problem. Got to UG with the intention of studying medicine. That did not plan out well.
Why?
I just wasn't dedicated to it. Like the studying and just going to be very transparent. I just think that I was not disciplined enough for it. And I heard about this program, the medical rehabilitation program that the university was offering. That's how small it was. We didn't even know that this program existed. So I found out from a friend, and he said, "Oh, my sister is doing this course, this program. You should look into it." So I did, and I realized, like, yeah, I could do this. And so I went to my mother, and much to her disappointment, she said, "Are you sure this is what you want to do?"
What does she want you to be?
I think she just wanted me to stay the course. Like, don't give up. Don't give up so easy.
Yeah.
But like, when you don't love something, or you just not love, but I just didn't have the discipline for it. And I just realized that I'm going to be miserable if I continue to go along this path. So I went to her and I reasoned with she, and I said, "Mom, this is it." She said, "All right, let's do it." And I switched, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Initially, of course, I was just going off my own experience. You had this injury, you went to physio, you did the exercises, you got better. But then when you get into it, it's so much more. And you realize how rehab or physiotherapy, you can insert it into any part of your life. Anything. Us sitting here, I could tell you to how to ergonomically sit in a chair to reduce back pain or your neck pain. Just make a little bit of an adjustment and you're good. I could work with kids or someone with a heart problem or an amputee or somebody with a spinal cord injury. And you learn so much that your reason for being there, it kind of just changes. So a lot of persons, when you ask them this question, oh, why did you choose this? I want to work in sports. Sports is this. Sports got money. But it is so much more than just sports. And you feel a sense of, I don't know, the word escapes me right now, but it just, you feel like a fulfillment, you know, that you can help somebody restore their functioning or restore their independence from not being able to walk.
Is a part of that contributed to the fact that you spend so much time with someone that you're actually seeing the improvement in real time, and these like small victories end up being a huge victory at the end of it.
100%. And that a lot of the times that is what drives me to continue. When you on those days where you're just like, I can't do this no more. It's too much. You're complaining about everything.
Yeah.
The state of Ghana, like we were talking about earlier. But then what I will never forget, one of my lecturers said, she's like, why do you love doing what you're doing? Or why are you here? And she said, when the doctors would have finished poking and prodding and tugging at this patient because of whatever reason, they come to you and you help them to get from not being able to move to being able to move. You're the last person that they see. They see the doctors, they see the nurses, the lab techs, the x-ray technicians, everybody they see. And you're the last person they see. And you see them the most because they have to come to you for 8 weeks or 10 weeks or how much ever weeks. And you see them progress from not being able to sit up to sitting up, to then standing up, to then taking a step, to different things, and then to putting on their clothes. That's a
huge improvement. A friend of mine's dad was in a car accident, and he couldn't use in a wheelchair. He couldn't even move. And and a lot of this is obviously, just you have to have the willpower inside you to make it go along. But he's been spending time in physio. I've seen videos of him swimming now. He's learning to, it affected his, because it was a brain injury, it's speech problems. But it's a horrible thing that happened. But just to see the improvement is like, this is amazing. It just feels like I know it sucks, but like it's almost like you're getting this, like you're chartering your second chance at life. It's like amazing to watch.
It's amazing to watch. It's amazing to be a part of. I would choose this profession in every lifetime.
Yeah,
every lifetime.
What's it like working with the public sector? And don't hold back. Be brutally honest.
Let's talk about the positives first. If there's anyone that came to me and said, Jana, I want to be a physiotherapist, what should I do? And they've done it and they did everything. Where should I work? I would tell them to come in the public sector. It is the best place to gain your experience. When you're in UG or you go to any university to study whatever, something practical like this, even medicine, you don't learn it in university. You learn it when you come out of university. And I say that to say, I have learned so much in the 6 years that I've worked, more than I've learned in UG, like the theoretical part of it, because you see so much. And learning doesn't stop. You have to keep learning. You have to keep reading all the time. I've seen people go into cardiac arrest right next to me. Wow. I've seen amputees who got their prosthetic limb and they're walking now. I've seen children who, came into the clinic with, they're not meeting their milestones to standing. So it's about the experience. You learn so much. And then, of course, when you reach a point in your life where you're like, okay, I want to make money or I want to go off on my own, the public sector teaches you how to get there. Because you can't just open something just like that without
For
the
sure.
knowledge of it.
For sure.
So it teaches you everything. How to talk, how to communicate with patients, how to work with people, because they got some real characters in the public system. So I think it just molds you as a person, like holistically. So I would definitely tell people to gain your experience in the public sector. You see everything. And because our service is still growing, you get to be a part of something bigger than you.
Yeah.
When I think it was in my third year of working, my director said, okay, well, it's time for you to go do a stint out of town, because that's mandatory. And so I worked in Berbice, and then Bob's COVID come. So I in the middle of Berbice.
Oh, you were staying there?
Yeah. So you have to live in out of town for like a year or more.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
What
a
part
year
of
or
Berbice?
more. I was in New Amsterdam.
Okay. Central.
Yeah, central. But in Berbice, in Region 6 rather, there are 3 departments. There are 3 rehab departments. So you had to kind of rotate around the 3. So it's very different in Berbice as in town.
I bet.
It's very different.
Tons to do or not really?
But then when I got there, it was COVID. So there was
Oh, right,
really
right,
nothing
right.
to
Oh,
do
God,
because
yeah.
everybody had to be indoors, right? But you learn so much about your country, about the people. I've traveled a lot of places in Guyana, being in the public sector. I went to Port Kaituma and Mabaruma, Letem,
Different worlds, huh?
different world,
Yeah.
different from in town. And you get to appreciate life a little bit more, appreciate the things that you have a little bit more. There are places, far-flung regions where people have to take boats to go to school. There's one community health center in the whole village. So it's different. And you have to be able to experience that. You have to experience it in order to understand life a little bit better.
Yeah.
If you understand what I'm trying
No,
to
100%.
say,
I mean, that's like the big, just for your career, that's like
Yeah.
such a big experience. And doing it in Guyana, I think that's what makes practicing in Guyana worth it. I mean, I'm not a medical practitioner, but you really are limited by just staying into Georgetown, because that's just a fraction of what the whole healthcare system entails, really.
It really is. It's so much different. The people are different. Sometimes you don't even understand when they're speaking to you because they have their own dialects or their own way of speaking. I've had so much interaction with persons who are from different Amerindian tribes. It's great. I have colleagues who don't want to come back to Georgetown.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's amazing.
You ever had
That's
any?
amazing.
You ever had any funny experiences dealing with people like in different regions that you're at liberty to share?
I'm allowed to be expletive.
100%. Yeah,
Okay.
I could tell you one. This is like an example of what one I've. Well, this hasn't happened to me with my
Okay.
mom who does a lot of work in different regions. She was actually telling me one time she was working in I think it was Region 1. This was years ago, and in the village she was in, a woman had gotten really sick, and they didn't know what to do, and they'd brought in doctors to see her and whatever, and the doctors assessed her at her home, and they I think it was like something in her head or whatever, and they said, they told the husband, we suggest, your wife get to town urgently because she needs to go and get a CAT scan. And then when they left, the husband, comes rushing out and says, my wife ain't going nowhere. No, my wife ain't going nowhere, y'all. Nobody gonna be scanning my wife CAT. So, I mean, I just thought that was hilarious, but that's just kind of, it's just one of them stories that
Well, if
it's
I
not,
tell
it's
you.
not their fault,
They just, that's how they
just
speak.
100%, 100%.
Well, if I tell you the story I got, I don't know, maybe it's that region. I don't know.
Oh, this is region one too?
No, that region.
Oh, that
the
region. Oh,
So I
region
remember
9.
that's a good one. So I remember we went to up the Kanji River, in this village called Barakar, where Shamar
Yeah,
Joseph
Shamar Joseph,
is from.
yeah.
Big up.
Yeah.
So we went there for an outreach, and it was my department, and we took a doctor with us, and so of course, we reached out to them and said, "Oh, we're coming. Bring your patients." We reached the community health center. Everybody can come. So I'm in the exam room with the doctor, and the lady says, "Doctor, my vagina top hurting." You're what, ma'am? My vagina top hurting, and like she was like just pointing to like just maybe around her abdominal region. I don't know why she decided to call it her vagina top, but I just remember like just like don't laugh, just be professional, just keep it pushing. And I look at the doctor, and the doctor look at me, and we just smile, and he just kept it going. But I wanted to laugh so bad, so bad. And it's just, you would never hear something like that in town.
Yeah.
You would never hear something like
Yeah.
that in town.
Everybody has like their own unique way of saying whatever, and they say it in the most honest and genuine way, you know what I mean? It's like not even to be cross or anything. It's just, this is just matter of fact.
I don't even think we found out it was really wrong. I think the doctor just gave her some tablets and said, "You're gonna be fine." Yeah, but it's an amazing experience, man.
Yeah.
And the people there, like in Barakara, what the news said like about Shamar Joseph and the people and the village that he came from, or that he comes from, they're really nice people. They're welcoming, and they want to give you fruits and everything to take home, and it's just it's different. Country people are
they're amazing.
I love them.
Different type of people.
I love them so much.
They actually should be. I wish like they were more of a representation of, and in a way they are, but like of Guyanese than people from Georgetown.
Yeah.
Like you go to the countryside and they will like, "Please take this, let me feed you. Take, like." And it's just like this hospitality is like off the charts. They're so warm.
They are.
And they'll do anything, to like just help you out, and it's like I love it.
I remember when I was in Berbice as well, one of the rehab assistants is telling me a story about how this patient came in and I don't know what the correct word for it is, but he like mined crabs. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Like blue crabs or something. And he brought like a big rice bag of crabs to the department. And crabs get away, running all over the department. And so they're just scrambling to pick up the crabs. And that's not going to happen in Georgetown Hospital. No way, you know? Yeah, it's
that's a
different.
great story. That doesn't happen anywhere.
Well, I wish I was there to curry some of them.
So you spend most of your time at the aquatic center, and do you think like there's been like how long have you been there?
So in our service we rotate every year. So this is my second stint there. I've been there in 2022.
Okay, and then you
for
went
a year and a half, and then I went to Tolmareed to work with the kiddos.
Okay,
and
where's
then, that? Tolmareed is in Carmichael Street, opposite the Bishop's High.
Okay.
Yeah, so at Tolmareed they see children with disabilities.
Gotcha.
And so
I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, it's there, and that has been around for a long time. That was actually the polio center way back when there was a polio pandemic in Guyana. So they use it as a center for rehabbing children who would have been affected by polio.
Yeah.
And then they kept it throughout the years, and it's now a rehab center for Tulmarine Rehab Center, of course, there's a rehab department for children who come for rehab services for their children.
Yeah.
And then there is a center upstairs. It's like a daycare for the most part, where children with disabilities, their parents can come and bring them to spend the
gotcha.
day. And then they also have some residents there who have different forms of any condition, like their Down syndrome, cerebral palsy. So they stay there and they're cared for 24/7. So they have nurses and everything there.
Those conditions fall under physio.
So we call them like developmental delays,
Gotcha.
those sorts of conditions. There are very many.
Yeah. Just to
yeah.
interject quickly, sorry. When you said that about polio, I got a super flashback that when I was very small and in school, I remember seeing a lot of kids with polio. I don't know if like it was as prevalent during my childhood, but I remember seeing it, and I think we had gone to like on a field trip to one of those places.
Probably. They've since eradicated it.
Yeah.
But they've kept the center around. And at the center as well, there's also a prosthetic and orthotic workshop, which is at the back. So that's where they make the prosthetic limbs for persons who would have had an amputation,
Yeah.
upper and lower extremity. And they also do braces for kids who have scoliosis.
Okay.
And they also do like the orthotic devices, which is like basically like a brace for like kids who need just a little bit extra help, support in walking. Kids and adults, actually.
What's the quality of life like for these young kids with conditions like cerebral palsy and Down syndrome and stuff like that? Well, what is their life like in terms of their assimilation into society? I'm assuming there are a lot of challenges with that, and then what is this exact care that's provided, that's offered to them?
It's just like an athlete. So an athlete needs a support system, just like this child would need a support system. So like I said, in rehab, things are very different, but they're very the same at the same time. So in order for an athlete to thrive, they need physio, they need the dietitians, they need the sports psychologists, their strength and conditioning. For the kids, they would need the physio, their family, a schooling system, what else? And just resources, because things are expensive. These things are, to buy an orthotic device and it costs a little bit more.
An orthotic device?
Yeah, so it's basically like a brace.
Okay.
That you put behind your, so I'm just gonna, it's like this, and you strap it, so it keeps your foot up.
So it like corrects the
Not
the
really
movement?
corrects, but supports.
Okay,
Is a better
support,
word.
okay.
So the quality of life, it varies depending on the situation.
Yeah.
So let's take cerebral palsy, for example. If I have a kid with cerebral palsy and you have a kid with cerebral palsy, it may affect my child differently than it affects yours.
Okay.
Because it's never one and the same. So there are children who grow to be adults who have cerebral palsy and are very high functioning. But then there are others who would have had different affectations by it. They're not able to speak, or they're not able to hold up their heads. They're not able to sit. And so they require a different level of intervention altogether. So they need constant physio. They have to come twice a week. They have to get the special chairs and orthotic devices or the braces. And then they may need special equipment at home. Whether or not their family can afford to do so is a different thing.
So how much of the treatment is subsidized by the state?
But the rehabilitation part is free. Rehab services in Guyana is free. But
when does it start hitting like the pocket of like?
When you have to start getting your other resources, like your devices, your orthotic devices, or a standing frame to put the child up to make sure that they stand. We can do it in the department, but let's just say you want to practice this at home because you only come to the clinic twice a week.
Okay.
So the 5 days, your child needs some sort of stimulation. So you have to build one or you have to buy one.
Yeah.
And that's where the difficulty comes because there are people who, if you say, this is what I want, let's build it to these specifications, I can build it. But oftentimes you'd have to outsource these things. And it's quite hard on some families who, you know, their parents may struggling to support 2 other kids, you know. So it's tough. I've seen some tough cases, but I've also seen some cases where the parents are, what do I have to do? Where can I go? Tell me what to do. So it's different.
I'm assuming that most of these parents that bring their kids in for treatment, they're very involved or
They have to be.
yeah.
And if they're not, I have a colleague who says, when you come to rehab, it's not a daycare. You're gonna come and sit on the mat with me and you're gonna
Learn.
You're gonna learn
Yeah.
because it's not me doing this. This intervention is not for me to do to your child. It's for you to learn how to deal with it after you leave here.
Yeah.
Because I'm only here with this kid for 1 hour, the most. Because you know, kids get, you know, scratchy teeth and just I ain't want to do this no more. Just leave me alone.
Yeah, yeah.
So sometimes half an hour, and then they start to fret. But then the rest of the day and the rest of the week, mommy or daddy is there with them. So you have to come down on the mat with me and learn how to do the exercises. Learn how to position, learn how to stimulate, learn how to interact with your child. Because even though this may be a child with a disability, they require even more stimulation than a regular child.
Yeah. Must be heartbreaking to see the parents go through that, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Have to deal with that and come to terms with that this is going to be your life now.
This is my life. Some parents, they go through that phase of denial, of course.
In what way?
Some parents are convinced that my child is going to be normal. And you hear it sometimes. You hear
Yeah.
it in conversations.
I guess that's fair feeling to have. I mean, even
In
though
the
it's
beginning,
yeah,
maybe.
Yeah.
But I think if you have to be realistic about things, you know. You have to be realistic because this is your child, and if you don't understand the situation, then you're not going to be fully equipped to give your child the things that they need to develop. So if I'm in this denial stage all the time, my child's going to get better, and you don't move from there, your child, you're going to stick one place all the time. You have to understand that this is here, and you have to deal with it. You have to rally around your baby, rally around your child, and get them the help that they need. However hard it is, I know that it's hard, but we're here to help. And that's oftentimes what we just try to tell our patients, or parents rather. At Tom Marie, they'd have parent support groups. We try to, as much as we try to rehab the children, the parents need our help too. They need a space where they can get their feelings out.
Yeah. That's a huge resource.
Yeah. So we try to help the parents as well.
How does that go? Because I don't really see a lot of, not everyone, Guyanese people just don't strike me as very opening with their feelings, you know?
I think we're, us physios, we take that responsibility. We're kind of aggressive with the parents.
Yeah.
Not aggressive in a bad way, but aggressive in the sense that every time you see them, make sure you come to if we have like as a parent support group coming up, we say, make sure you come, this is the day. The next time they come, make sure you come, this is the day. So we kind of beat it into their heads that we want you here.
Yeah.
Make them feel welcome. And I found, at least in my experience, that parents are open to it. They want a space where they can talk about it. Because Suppose I have a child with a disability and my neighbor down there, I can't, neighbor is a bad example. I have a sister and she is one of those people that are just like in denial about this. She may not be aware of that this is the reality. I can't go to my sister and say, man, this is how I feeling. Maybe in that space, she can tell you something that you don't want to hear because she don't understand what is happening. So we try to provide a space where when I express something to you, persons around you can empathize. I understand what you're feeling. It's the same way with me. I want to give up some days. Yeah, me too. I don't know what to do some days. Yeah, me too. And I think it's important for them to understand that it's okay to feel like that some days. Because
Yeah.
it's hard. It is very hard. Having kids is not easy. Having a child with a disability is even harder.
Uh, are the parents that are involved mostly the moms?
Yes, mostly the moms.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we've had one or two dads here and there, but mostly the moms.
Yeah. That's heartbreaking, man. But in the same vein though, it's like the fact that it's there, it's nice. I mean,
Yeah.
it's that's telling of where we are, where we're going, and I'm just so happy to hear that exists. Like that's just because
Yeah.
I've seen a few, young children with those conditions, and always wondered like if you can't afford specialized help, what do you do? And then like I always figured they were just subject to a life of the circumstance.
No, it's the service is there. The service is there to free of cost for you to come, and you have to take advantage of it. I believe,
Yeah.
especially for parents who have children with disabilities, and then as a service, I think we have to hold ourselves accountable to like we can't stay on one level all the time. We have to
Sure.
keep pushing. What else can we do to make these children better, to make their lives better? Who can we engage to make their life? We had this conversation the other day. Autism is growing in Guyana right now.
Really?
Yeah. We've had a rise in the number of autistic children that we've seen.
How is that? Sorry to interject you. How is that assessed and recorded in the public health sector?
Well, we keep, especially from our end, when we have a diagnostic center in at CPCE. So we have records of all of these.
Okay.
And so they mostly come to see the speech therapist. So they would keep records of everything like that.
Excuse my ignorance, but what promotes like higher rates of autism?
A number of different things. So it's a spectrum. It's
Okay.
a entire spectrum of just like a delayed development. And so like cerebral palsy, not every child will be affected the same way. And so we try to give parents like tips and tricks on how to deal with these children, because some of them just want to run around the hyper. So coping mechanisms, try to calm them down. How can we calm them down? Ways in which that, forgive me, I'm not a speech therapist, so I don't really know like the nitty gritty of it, but basically like how we can get them to communicate better, because a lot of them are non-verbal.
Yeah.
So how can we get them to communicate with us a little bit better? How can we kind of control their behavior? So different things like that. It's difficult, but so far in my experience, a lot of the parents have been open to learning about their kids with autism. So
You think things are getting more progressive in those sort of circumstances, conditions? Because I remember before, and just we spoke about, like, for example, when you go into certain regions, how people talk. It's it's not necessarily their fault, or they don't mean well. It's just their general exposure to an understanding of things. And Guyanese sometimes are very they're uninformed and unaware.
Yeah.
So, are you seeing maybe more progressive outlooks on things and acceptance of these
I
things?
think so. I think that I'm not saying that it's because of us and our awareness, but
No, but you guys play a huge
yeah,
part. There's no
yeah, we
question.
try to. So there's like a disability calendar of events. So like there's World Autism Month, and there's World Down Syndrome Day, and World Cerebral Palsy Day, and Limb Loss Awareness Month, different things. And so we try to bring awareness. And I've seen like last year, I'm so pleased. I was driving past, I can't remember the name of the business. I think it was someone on Camp Street, and was it autism or Down syndrome? I think it was autism. No, it was Down syndrome. And they had like, no, it was autism. I can't remember. Yeah, I think it was autism, and they had like the colors up, and saying autism and bringing awareness, and they had it big in front of their building, and I was so pleased to see that. World Down Syndrome Day, Giftland, they had reached out to us to say, hey, we know that you guys do your awareness programs. Come and we'll give you this space, and you can work from this time to this time.
Yeah.
And so the private sector is getting involved.
I was just about to say,
They're
like,
getting
private
involved.
sector could, like, they should get involved just for the awareness, and
they're getting involved.
pump that into society, and we get more aware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a group effort. It's a group effort. Can't stress that.
And just on a representation basis, like, I mean, that would mean the world to, like, the children or the patients and the parents.
The parents, parents for sure. I we were in a meeting the other day, and it came up that commercial banks, they have to be a little bit more aware of like kids with autism, and like if a mother comes in with a child who's autistic, or who has a disability, that they have to be a little bit more cognizant of the fact that, hey, I have to help this person. Not even children, but like I find that we're a little behind time when it comes to dealing with persons with disabilities and or inclusion of them into Guyanese society. Like simple things like ramps in businesses, just a counter for them to get their services easily accessible. Elevators.
Yeah.
It's tough.
For sure.
We need to do better.
Yeah.
I think we really need to do better.
Our society is like, and our societal infrastructure is hardly even set up for normal people. That's the kind of issue,
Yeah.
Not to finally get into the negatives, but it's just like, you hardly have room for people who are fully able to navigate in the public space. You got people walking on roads as a sidewalk, and like
all kinds of foolishness.
it's all a big mess.
Them know how to use the pedestrian crossing
No.
properly. All kinds of things.
No, look at you drive down Sheriff Street. Look at them lines. It's like topsy-turvy land. So, I mean, that kind of, we got a far way to go, but I'm so happy to hear that. Like, that was such a emotional roller coaster of a story there.
Yeah, man. It's tough. We have to. We're getting there. The grind never stops. We have to keep pushing, and people will hear. People will hear eventually. They will hear, and they will make changes. And we have bodies who are, whose responsibility it is for certain things, policy changing and all these kind of things. And people are willing, but you have to buy into what we're selling.
How hard would it be to engage the government directly to shape policy to make things easier for people with disabilities, for example? Like, who has to come together to talk to who to table that in Parliament, or however that works?
I would be lying if I say who specifically, but what I do know is that
I'm assuming public sector people like yourself play a big role.
So what I'm saying is that in my experience, like the Ministry of Health, they have been really supportive of the things that Rehab Services has planned. The minister has really made a big effort in the last couple of years to try to make things better for persons with disabilities and the access to rehabilitation services. We've opened a lot of smaller satellite clinics in the country in the last couple of years. We have rehab services in every single region in the country. And I think that's a big plus. You can access services in every one of the regions, and most of them have physiotherapists there, living, present, ready to work there. So I think that's a great achievement that we've had. They've given us support with like equipment and even if it's basic, because rehab or physio, it's once you have your hands, you're okay. But you do need equipment, you do need resources.
Yeah.
We just need space. I think space, if we're going to get into the negatives, no, space is essential. We need space.
Space is in a place to operate?
Yes, space as in a place to operate. A lot of our departments, a lot of the times we're clamoring over each other. We've grown in human resource, like I said, and we've outgrown a lot of the spaces that we have.
Yeah. I guess that's how it starts, right? Before it kind of, hopefully the system keeps up with your growth.
Yeah. And I think they're hearing us. I'm not in those, big meetings with the big ones, but I mean, from like just hearing like from what director says and stuff like that, we're getting there, and the support is there. The government is supporting it.
Okay.
And so that's a plus. That's a plus, I think.
Well, that's great to hear. So you're not ready to unionize and picket.
No, maybe for salary. Maybe.
Do you guys how connected is the public sector? And just to chat about current events, and no pressure to give any pronounced opinion, but I've been learning so much about just the kind of, at least in education, with the makeup of the public sector and how that works, and with this whole teacher fiasco that's going on. And it's so interesting to me to just view it on both sides, because I for one think that I would love the teachers to be paid more. Anybody in the public sector, actually. I mean, you talk about like essential services. Them and doctors is like these are the people.
Our nurses too.
Yeah, anybody in healthcare. And so and I have a few teacher friends that I talk to. One in particular, him and I exchange a message every other day for the last couple of weeks as this has been going on. And what I've noticed is that, it's been sort of shifted into such a political issue, whereas it's almost like a big FU to the teachers, because it's now become a piss and match between two parties, And it's like, obviously there's like nuance to the fact that, one of the opposition leaders is head of the union and all this stuff. So there's a lot of mix up there. But it saddens me that we can't maybe just separate that and just come to the table and just sort of figure this out. And I'm not saying, the teachers, we got to give the teachers every single thing they're asking for. And it never really works like that, unfortunately. No. But there has to be a reason so many people are feeling this way. And the way I see it is like there's a lot of like that there's they're in a position where they can leverage their services, and they're doing that. And in a way, as much as I hate to see children not getting the education they should be, maybe it's good that, in a way they can finally ask for what they think they deserve. I think that's very important in a society. And then, but I've been reaching out to different teachers to come and talk like this and just to give their opinion, not to cuss down the government or whoever it is.
Just say how you're feeling.
Just, tell me how you're feeling so we all can understand. And I'm not saying every teacher is like this, but a few I've spoken to are like, well, first of all, they're terrified of victimization, which is, we all are to some extent. But, and so I reached out to one girl, and she said, let me get back to you. Let me talk to the union. I'll get back to you. And then a few days later, she messaged me and said, hey, sorry I got back to you so late, but I've been thinking about this the past few days. And, I don't think it's a good idea to have like an interview. First of all, this isn't an interview, it's a conversation. But
Period.
yeah, yeah. So I don't think it's a good idea. And to be honest, I didn't talk to the union, and I don't think, to be honest with you, I don't think anybody would agree to do this. And I said, well, no problem. I respect your opinion. You know, I'll continue trying, but just out of curiosity, why not? Why? I get the victimization, but why not come and use a platform? By the way, not coming on the gaff is not a big privilege. I'm just one of many platforms, but it's not really political here. But why not come and sell? You know, so we can all empathize and there's more
And
support behind this
understand.
cause and
Yeah.
understand. You know, because there's a lot of things that the government's saying that has its legitimacy too. But if we don't put all these things on the table, then how do we come to the solution? And it also saddens me that, like, as Guyanese, maybe we kind of, there's like this unwillingness to just put our cards on the table, because at the end of the day, we both have, both sides have interests. But if we don't put it out, then it's almost like who could bully who into getting
Yeah.
what.
You talking, I talking, and you talking over me, and I can talk over you. And I can talk over
Exactly,
you.
exactly. And to me, that's such a fascinating part of our society and the kind of bottlenecks we hit when we actually want to have progress.
Yeah. It's very sad.
Yeah. So whether they come on the gaff or whether they go on wherever, I hope that this is becomes more of a public discourse and not just all right, hold on to this and shut your mouth, you know, and
Yeah,
that kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
I don't know if you see that in the health sector, but it's interesting. I think, like, as we move forward, I'm interested to see how people are, you know, remunerated for their services and their commitment and stuff like that.
Well, it's there in the health sector, I can tell you that, because the nurses feel the same way.
Yeah.
And they work very hard. I get a first-hand look at how hard these nurses work. And a lot of the times, it's very few of them for overcrowded wards. And of course, they should be paid what they're owed. They should be remunerated so that they don't have to look for jobs anywhere else.
Yeah.
And then, you know what end up happening? They're gonna leave. And then what we can do? Bring in people
Yeah.
that don't understand when we talk, because it's people from India or Cuba, and
Yeah.
they got a language barrier. And when I telling them
Worst thing in
my
healthcare.
vagina top hurting, they can't understand what I telling them, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's I kind of I don't tap into the political part of
No, no, no,
anything
no.
at all. Like, I try to stay far
Yeah,
away from that.
100%.
But it's just, why can't we have our own, you know? Like,
Yeah.
why can't we just develop what's ours?
I think there has to be just a focus on the issues, you know?
Yeah.
And I think a big part of it is just that people just need to say how they feel and not feel bad
and
for
not feel
saying
bad
that.
for saying it.
That's such a
completely
crazy
agree.
thing to say out loud, huh?
Like, I thought, even for the physiotherapists, like, we've, like, our salaries, for example, because let's just put our cards on the table. Everything is about how we're paid, right?
Sure.
And
Gotta make a living.
gotta make a living, and the cost of living has gone up.
Yeah.
And when I started working, yes, there has been an exponential increase in my salary scale, and of course, I'm very grateful for that. But we face the same problem where a lot of the times, like, when we talk among ourselves, we're just like, it's just too hard. I'm looking to go somewhere else, work in one of the islands and make more money and live comfortably, provide for my family. Okay, I don't have a chick or a child. I don't have any responsibilities like that. This is just me. So, but there are colleagues of mine who have 2 kids, you know, a mortgage to pay. They want to send their children to the best schools. I have a colleague who has a child with autism, you know? So it's tough. It's really tough. A lot, if not all of us, have to supplement our salaries by going to see a private patient in the afternoon. And that's okay. You got to make extra money. But it's tiring, you know? Being a physiotherapist, being a rehab professional is hard work. You can imagine being on, let's just say I work with athletes, right? They come in, and we don't really have like an appointment system. It's kind of like a walk-in clinic. So you're there and you're seeing like 20, 30 people a day, right? Doing different things. You're up, down, up, down, up, down. You got to put a hot pack on this person. You got to show this one exercises. You know, do the E-stim on, you're up and down, right? The person's on the wards. The bed's full. Everybody needs physiotherapy on the wards unless the doctor said, no, not her. We can think. You walking up and down all day. Imagine you're a speech therapist. Whole day you talking to a child that not really responding back to you. You're saying, okay, say A. A is for apple. I could never be a speech therapist. Oh my, I'm just...
Yeah.
They
That's patience.
I liked. Kudos to them. Like, you can imagine doing that for 8 hours. And then at the end of the day, you got to go and work with somebody else for the next 3 hours just to kind of live comfortably.
Well, or just live with
Or
some
just
dignity.
It's tough. I mean, I remember a time I used to see 3 patients when the afternoon come. 3 patients. You drive in here, you do your therapy, you go somewhere else, you drive again. And when you reach home at the end of the day, you're still studying because, you know, you got to get your education if you want to reach somewhere, you know, your parents behind you.
Yeah.
And you got to do that and then still wake up to go to work in the morning. It's tough. And I don't want to sound like if I am complaining or like I'm lazy and I don't want to do it. I can do it. I'm young. I have the energy. I can do it. But I want to live life as well. You know,
Yeah.
I want to be able to just say, I'm not doing anything today. I can go home and I can relax. You know,
Yeah.
or me and Alana going to take a trip. Just pack up and we can go to Burberry's comfortably or go to Escribo comfortably and not having to think like...
You want to see that that's at least an option.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, I was listening to one of your podcasts. I listened to the gaff.
Thank
very
you.
religiously. I just want to put
You
that up there.
subscribed? You subscribed?
100%.
Thank you.
First thing. As soon as I see System Reek, subscribe. Okay. Yeah, I was listening to... I can't remember which one it was, but I think you had said that some persons just want to be able... They don't want elevation. They just want to be able to live life comfortably.
Yeah.
That at the end of the day, I don't have to worry about where my next meal coming from or how I can put gas in my car. And I think that is what all of the public sector is just trying to see. Not all of us are looking for elevation and being a supervisor or being a CEO or a commissioner for something. We just want to make sure that our kids have food or we able to pay the taxi man to carry them to school. The reality is a lot of single parents out there, a lot of single mothers out there. The reality is that gas prices gone up and food prices gone up. That's the reality. And the reality is not everybody have a car, even though they got 10,000 cars going on the road every 6 months and bottlenecking everywhere. Not everybody has a car. So they have to rely on Tom Jones or whosoever to take my kids to school or take me to school or take me to work. And that's the reality. And we just want to be comfortable. That's it.
Yeah.
We don't want to have to work so hard. What are we working so hard for? To do it all over again and still not be able to afford the things that we want to do. Like, we working so hard and you still can't think about, man, I want to take a trip to Escribo because it's my friend's birthday and I want to go. But I still working 3 patients at the end of the afternoon. Is either we really not managing our money well or something.
Yeah. Well, it can't be everybody. It can't be everybody, you know, and at the end of the day, it's like, again, it's just having a dignified salary where you can put aside for when you get old, because when you said you don't mind hitting it now because you're young and you have energy. But there's not that in 20 years or 30 years, that's not going to be the case. And then when you look back, you want to know, okay, well, I haven't been living paycheck to paycheck
I have something
I
to
have,
show for
yeah,
it,
I have
for the
something to
hard
show for it.
work.
I could still work if I want, but I can at least know that my medical expenses are covered. I'm taken care of. My
Yeah.
necessities are met, and I don't have to put that burden on my children or whoever.
Yeah.
And I think that is like the crux of it, and that's why everybody needs to just table their issues and really go through this and not just play for political points or whatever.
It's,
And I'm
it's
not even talking about like politics. I just mean like we just need to be frank.
yeah, I just think that in just piggybacking on what you're saying, it's like one party. So I'm the public sector and I'm saying, this is what I want. Listen to me. This is what I'm feeling. But you're saying to me, but I give this to you. I do this, this, and you can list it off like it's a checklist.
But they
you
didn't
know?
give this to you. They didn't do this for you.
And
That's always the thing.
I check these boxes.
Yeah.
And it's a slap in the face and it's an insult to public servants. We make up majority of the workforce, and we have to be respected.
Is it still appealing for, and again, not only in physio, and you mentioned this earlier, but is there still the appeal of medical professionals being like, oh, it's looking nice over there in Jamaica or looking nice in the US, maybe I should just, let me push towards that because once I could lock in that opportunity, I good to go.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I think a lot of persons kind of go through the process to get to where they actually want to go. I see it sometimes in the field that I work, but it's really more so like more prevalent in like the nurses. They know that, okay, I can get my education here, and because in the Caribbean, or education, it's accredited, I think, for the nurses, yeah. So as soon as something in England open up, I out to here.
Yeah.
Because I can get benefits, and then in the next couple of years, I can send for my family or whatever.
Yeah.
I still think people do it. And I think that the love for the profession is going to die that way. Like, you see it as a means to an end rather than doing something that you really love to do, like taking care of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and well, I know we also losing a lot of capacity to like these big companies too. Like the oil and gas, and so they're just swooping up the best people across sectors.
Yeah, because they're paying them better.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, persons are where they feel valued and where they feel worth it, they're gonna go. I mean, they probably have mouths to feed and things to look after. So at the end of the day, you really can't blame them. You really can't say, but you're leaving country and patriotism. And da, da, da. No, you can't. You cannot say that to them.
Patriotism is a hard sell when you're hungry, boy. It's
when I starving, I'm mature and starving. I gotta do.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. And maybe it's just me that a little. Maybe if I had kids or some sort of responsibility like that, maybe I would have thought a little bit differently. But I'm still in that frame of mind where I think that I can make a change. So I'm gonna kind of like stick it out and see what I can do. How much you can get out of me. Like I said, I'm young. I have the energy.
You got a lot. You got a lot to prove too.
Yeah.
Career's young, and it's just. I'm happy that you feel the way you do, because that's super important.
Yeah.
I mean, just to have people in the public sector that passionate, that's what's gonna drive the public sector.
They have them,
Yeah,
you have
I'm
to.
sure
They're there. You just have to look for it. They're in between, and they're trying to hold on. They are trying to hold on, but it's getting hard.
Yeah.
It is getting hard.
I guess
But
everybody
they're there.
has a breaking point.
Yeah, man.
Unless they see the changes they want. Just and kind of like our latter part of this conversation, is there anything like societally that you as not necessarily a public sector professional, but just like as a Guyanese, like, are you excited about, or do you want to see happen in the next like 5 to 10 years?
Well, lately, I've been, because I'm now back at the sports clinic, and I've been around a lot of athletes recently for a good space of time. I've been listening to like a lot of their grievances and so on. And I really want to see our sports sector develop.
Yeah.
I really do want to see our sports sector develop. And that's just, I want to see a lot of things develop, but I think it's just because of where I am now and what my environment and what's around me. I appreciate that they are putting so much money into building all of these, or refurbishing our sports facilities, and building tracks and stuff like that. I think that's great. I think that's where we start. But I think as well that there still needs to be that extra effort to try to get our athletes to where they should be.
Yeah.
So, for example, a program that we're trying to run off at the sports clinic at the moment, we're going to start from this year, and hopefully it's something that we can do annually, is a pre-participation screening. So we take all of the elite athletes. We're going to start with the elite athletes first, and we're going to screen them at the start of every season. We're going to say, we're going to check your range of motion. We're going to check your reflexes. We're going to give you all the tests. And we're going to have everybody on the team, a physio, a doctor, a dietitian, a counselor, everybody. And we're going to work with you. This is your baseline at the beginning of the year. So we have something to work with. You go and you do your training, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we always have a database for you. This is where you started, and we're going to keep updating it. So now when you go to these big competitions like Olympics or Commonwealth Games, we have everything on record, and it's there. And of course, that's just a small part that we want to play in it.
Yeah.
So
Super
we
important.
have engaged the Olympic Association, and they have been very helpful in providing us the names of the athletes and the contact information for the coaches, etc. And so we want to get that off the ground. In addition, of course, just providing the best service that we can to our athletes, our national athletes. I think preparation is important, and we're going to help the athletes prepare. But of course, they have to meet us halfway, but we're going to help them to prepare. And then outside of that, I think that more opportunities need to be given to these athletes, because a lot of them, they don't have the resources to say, all right, I can play cricket and I can get a scholarship or something. Some team can see me and I can go overseas or something like that. A lot of these things start from schools. They have to start from schools. They have to start from community centers.
Yeah.
They have to start from, just little road ball in the street. And then somebody must say, if I come from a community and I say, something, let me build a tarmac, or let me put up a little area where these boys could go and play. And then that's where they start, right? The school programs, you could have different sports in different schools. Yes, there's cricket and there's football, but develop basketball, track and field, volleyball, chess,
But these sports also have to have like some internal structure as well.
They do. So
the
that's
discipline
where
and the values and
that's
stuff.
where like our associations come in now. The associations that fall under the big Olympic association. So like these associations, they know now they have to do the work. They have to say, okay, we're gonna run off this program, and we're gonna get on the 16 team, on the 19 team, on the 20 team. We can have a national team, and we can continually train athletes. We're gonna give them everything, but we have to go out and look for them, and then we're gonna train them. So you have a pool now of athletes to kind of develop from there. So you have to create the opportunity for these athletes. You have to create it, and you have to start from the ground up.
Yeah.
Because you don't just wake up a morning and decide to be an athlete.
No,
That's
hundred
not how it
percent,
works.
100%. I was actually talking to a guest. My last guest on the podcast is an athlete friend of mine, and we were talking about the importance of private sector investment in athletes. And thank you for your points, by the way. But one of my biggest things, and I've always felt this, is that there needs to be more fanfare around our sports.
100%.
The fact that we could show up and be going crazy for people we support, and like that's what we're missing. You see that in all the South American countries, a lot of Caribbean countries. You gotta like get behind people and make them feel good and make them feel like what they're doing is worth it.
It's worth it.
You know,
Yeah.
and not only it's worth it, but like, there's opportunity that exists if you work hard, and if you don't work hard, somebody come in right behind you to take your place.
Correct.
Because that's the nature of competition, right? And that's just gonna drive everything forward, I think. And then that's where the private sector comes in, because like if the best football player gets like the bank's sponsorship, and he's this big rep, and he's getting money to go and compete, and that people will want that, and I want to be him.
Be like that.
I want to be like that, and having the guy need support, and and a lot of times athletes, when they see some success, it's sort of because of maybe they might be an outlier and just so talented, and there's nobody else, because there's no depth in the sport. They kind of let their foot off the gas, and they get complacent, and which we've seen, and that's kind of what is disappointing, because you finally separated yourself. You have this opportunity to pull everyone up,
And nobody is supporting.
yeah, and then nobody supports you. So it's we as Guyanese, not only athletes, need to change that culture and sort of get behind it. And I think that's one of the things. And kudos to the Ministry of Sport for doing all the stuff they're doing. But I think we need to collectively find a way
Yeah.
to engage the population.
It's really not just about building stadiums and tracks.
Yeah.
And it's so much more than that. Everybody has to be involved. Utilize people that you're not utilizing.
Yeah.
Utilize them. Everybody has to be on the same page. Everybody has to want the same things. And it's going to be a long way, but you also have to because in them Indian villages and so, some track stars and some volleyball players and some
They got football players.
Yeah, we got to go find them and bring them out and send them to school. Give them an education.
Yeah.
Give them an opportunity. These are the things that we need to look at.
Even like a consistent platform to just play and compete,
You have to have tournaments.
Yeah.
You have to organize a little scrubby here and there. You play in for bragging rights, or you get some business to money does attract everybody, right? So
Yeah.
a little 100,000 prize or so,
I always wanted well, first of all, one of my favorite sporting events to go to in Guyana is boxing. One, I love boxing. I'm a big boxing fan, but and strangely enough, I haven't gone to many events here at all. And then one I went to the other day at the we call it gymnasium. It was amazing. Like the crowd is just super electric. They got the tassa drumming between rounds. It's like the energy is like crazy. Obviously it's a little harder crowd, like people, because I guess that's the nature of the boxing community. But they're good though.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's but like we need to create that environment, and I think
100%.
that's so important. And I just like there's so much potential, man. I think like sports, we got this opportunity with
We
sports.
do.
Guyanese are very athletic and talented.
Yeah, you need to go to a futsal competition.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, the energy is.
they should.
Through
The
the
marketing
roof.
should be better for this, man. I don't see
I'm
these
gonna let Alana
events.
talk to you
I don't see
about
these
that
events.
one.
But anyway,
We're gonna get there, man. We're gonna get there.
Yeah.
I remember when Marian used to play basketball at the youth basketball tournament where they had all the schools
yeah, at
the Cliff Anderson.
Cliff Anderson.
Sports
Yeah,
Hall.
that was big.
I remember a time when I think they were playing Kwakwani.
With Akeem Kanai, he was there.
No, I think he was. It was around the same time.
Uh-huh.
The same time. I think he played for. I could be wrong, or
He was
QC
good,
or
boy.
something like that. He was
This is
good.
the first time I see somebody dunk and the place went wild.
And where is he now?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm sure he had his own life experiences.
Well,
But yeah, I
um,
see what you're saying.
I just remember like we were on the. Don't let me try to say northern southern. I embarrass myself. We were on one side of the sports hall, and the Lindeners were on the other. You know,
Yeah.
they ride or die for their sports, right?
Yeah.
So we buying on the what do you call the thing, like the barricade part, the bleachers and everything, knocking bottles, and they can knock on the bottles. And this is like a little high school game, and I just remember feeling so electric,
Charged up.
like yeah. And I'm
Yeah.
not even playing. That is what sports needs.
Yeah.
Sports is one of the most unifying things in ever.
Yeah.
It's an amazing thing. It don't care about color or creed or political affiliation or young, old. Sports is an amazing thing. And I honestly wish I were an athlete. I want to come back as an athlete. I
You
want to
still
come back
got
as
time.
an
You could
athlete.
have a good vets
Nah, these
career.
knees don't need like they used to. But yeah, I just think we really do need to hone what we have and improve on what we have. And we really do have a long way to go, but we can get there. We can get there.
Yeah. Well, Jana, on that note, I just want to say thank you so much. This has been so enjoyable.
Thank you for having me.
So catching up with you, yeah, of course. I'm so glad we did this, and I think we started a good conversation here, which I would love to continue at sometime in the future.
Whenever you're ready, man.
And I'm sure like it definitely inspired me, and I'm sure a lot of parents and people in our society can appreciate all the efforts you're doing, as well as the services that our public health sector is offering. So important as we move forward and become this country that we want to be. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.